Hello, everybody. My name is Yaman, and I provide daily updates on Tesla, markets, and technology. Let's get started. Markets are up today. Dow Jones is up 1.3%. Nasdaq is up 1.8%. S&P 500 is up 1.4%, and Russell 2000 is up 1.7%. Oil prices are down $1 a barrel to 66. Yield curve is down a couple base points. 10-year Treasury yield is at 420. Let's move on to S&P 500 heat map. Berkshire Hathaway is down 3%. Most Mag 7 stocks, most technology stocks are up today, except for Amazon, down 1%. Tesla is up 2%. Nvidia is up 3%. Let's read the article of the day. Wall Street rebounds as Fed rate cuts bet intensify on weaker payrolls. The sound quality today should be better. If you think so, give it a thumbs up. Wall Street's main indices bounced back on Monday after a sharp pullback in the previous session, buoyed by growing expectations of deeper Federal Reserve interest rate cuts following an unexpectedly weak jobs report. Both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq were on track for their biggest single-day jump in more than 2 months. This is in contrast to Friday, when a dismal U.S. jobs report hammered the S&P 500 and sent it to the steepest intraday drop since May 27. So a lot of volatility. The bleak data that also accompanied steep downward revisions for May and June forced market participants to amplify their bets for Fed rate cuts this year, noting signs of a weakening labor market. Odds for a September rate cut now stand at about 84% according to CME FedWatch. Market participants see at least 2 quarter-point cuts by the end of this year. Underscoring uncertainty, Trump fired Bureau of Labor Statistics Commissioner Erica McEntire the same day, accusing her of faking the jobs numbers. Investors also weighed Fed Governor Adriana Kugler's unexpected resignation, which could open the door for President Trump to reshuffle the central bank's leadership to his favor. Trump has repeatedly threatened to fire Jerome Powell, believing that rates should be much lower than they are. Meanwhile, Tesla rose 1% after granting CEO Elon Musk 96 million shares worth about $29 billion. All S&P 500 subsectors were trading in the green. U.S. factory orders tumbled 4.8% in June after an upwardly revised 8.3% increase in May, owing to a sharp drop in commercial aircraft orders. Meanwhile, Trump threatened to substantially raise tariffs on India over the purchase of Russian oil. Last week, Trump slapped a 25% tariff on goods imported from the country. After a big week for big tech earnings, companies from various sectors, including Palantir, Eli Lilly, and Disney, will report this week. Among notable movements, Joby Aviation rose 20% after Bloomberg News reported that the company was exploring the acquisition of a helicopter rideshare operator, Blade Air Mobility. Blade shares surged 27%. IDEX Laboratories soared 27% after the animal diagnostics maker raised its full-year profit and revenue forecast and reported better-than-expected second-quarter results. Spotify jumped 7% as the music streaming platform announced plans to raise the monthly price of its premium individual subscription in select markets from September. Let's switch to Tesla. Tesla's July China-made EV sales fall 8.4%. Tesla sales of China-made electric vehicles fell 8% in July from a year earlier, reversing a small increase in June, amid rising competition from rivals offering lower priced new models. Deliveries of Tesla's China-made Model 3 and Model Y vehicles, including exports to Europe and other markets, reached 67,886 cars last month, down 5.2% from June, data from the China Passenger Car Association showed on Monday. Top Chinese rival BYD, with its Ocean and Dynasty lineups of EVs and plug-in hybrids, delivered almost flat global passenger car sales at 341,000 vehicles in July. Tesla's July reading followed a 0.8% rise year-on-year sales of its China-made EVs in June, which ended an 8-month losing streak, but fell short of a stop in quarterly declines. Elon Musk's EV company, grappling with weak demand and backlash among some consumers against his political views, posted its biggest quarterly sales decline globally in over a decade in the second quarter. Aiming for growth from robotaxis and humanoid robots, the company is also working on a new, cheaper car, but sources have told Reuters the vehicle, a stripped-down version of its best-selling Model Y, would be delayed, by at least several months. The Chinese auto market, the world's largest, is in the midst of a price war that has bruised automakers. Suppliers and dealerships prompted authorities to call for a truce. Tesla is preparing to launch a 6-seat, longer wheelbase version of its Model Y in China. A longer range, rear wheel drive Model 3 is also coming to the China market. Yeah, this article is, I think, incomplete because it didn't even discuss Xiaomi U7. I think Tesla sales will continue to decline in both China and Europe in the coming months. Exclusive. Tesla's brand loyalty collapsed after Musk-backed Trump, data shows. Tesla for years had more repeat US customers than any other major automotive brand, but its loyalty has plunged since CEO Elon Musk endorsed President Trump last summer, according to data from research firm S&P Global Mobility, shared exclusively with Reuters. The data, which has not yet been previously reported, shows Tesla's customer loyalty peaked in June 2024 when 73% of Tesla's own households in the market for a new car bought another Tesla, according to an S&P analysis of vehicle registration data in all 50 states. The industry-leading brand loyalty rate started to nosedive in July, that data showed, when Musk endorsed Trump following an assassination attempt in Pennsylvania on the Republican nominee. The rate bottomed out at 49.9% last March, just below the industry average, after Musk launched Trump's budget slashing the Department of Government Efficiency in January and started firing thousands of government workers. Tesla's US loyalty rate has since ticked back up to 57.4% in May, the most recent month the S&P data is available, putting it above the industry average and about the same as Toyota, but behind Chevrolet and Ford. S&P analyst Tom Libby called it unprecedented to see the runaway leader in customer loyalty fall so quickly to industry average levels. I've never seen this rapid of a decline in such a short period of time, he said. Tesla and Musk did not respond to requests for comment. On Monday, Tesla granted Musk 96 million shares worth about $29 billion. We're going to talk about that. The timing of Tesla's plunging brand loyalty suggests the CEO's involvement in politics turned off customers in the EV pioneers' eco-conscious customer base. Some analysts said, if they have democratic leanings, then perhaps they'd consider other brands in addition to Tesla, said Seth Goldstein, an analyst at Morningstar. Tesla's Asian model lineup also faces stiffer competition from an array of EVs from legacy automakers, including GM, Hyundai, and BMW. The only new model Tesla has released since 2020, its triangular Cybertruck, has proved a flop, despite Musk's prediction of hundreds of thousands of annual sales. On an April earnings call, Tesla CFO singled out the negative impact of vandalism and unwarranted hostility toward our but also said there were several weeks of lost production when the company retooled factories to produce a refreshed version of its top-selling Model Y. And why is he selling so many stock? Musk on the April call said that absent macro issues, we don't see any reduction in demand. Bullshit. Tesla vehicle sales overall are falling globally and have declined 8% in the US the first 5 months of 2025, according to S&P. Sales fell 33% over the first 6 months of the year in Europe, where public backlash to Musk's politicking has been particularly fierce. Musk's increased political activism was very bad timing for Tesla, said Garrett Nelson, an analyst who tracks the EV maker at CFRA Research, because it came exactly as the company faced heightened competition from Chinese EV makers and other traditional automakers. He said his top concerns for Tesla are its loss of market share and what can be done to repair the brand damage. Tesla remains the US electric vehicle sales leader, but has seen its dominance erode as Musk last year delved into politics and refocused Tesla more on developing self-driving technology than on new affordable models for human drivers. Customer loyalty is a closely watched auto industry metric because it is much more expensive to take new customers from competitors than to retain existing ones, said S&P's Libby. S&P offers some of the most detailed industry data on automotive purchases because it analyzes vehicle registration data from all 50 states on a household-by-household basis. Unlike survey data, it follows actual vehicle transactions to track how consumers migrate among brands and models. From the fourth quarter of 2021 through the third quarter of last year, more than 60% of Tesla owning households bought another one for their next car purchase, the data show. Only one other brand, Ford, posted quarterly loyalty exceeding 60% during the period, and only once. S&P data also examines another aspect of the automotive market: which brands and models are taking customers away from others and which ones are losing them. Until recently, Tesla was in a different stratosphere than other automotive brands on this metric. For the 4 years prior to July 2024, Tesla, on average, acquired nearly 5 new households for every one it lost to another brand. No other brand from a major automaker was even close. Hyundai's luxury Genesis brand was the next best, acquiring on average 2.8 households for every one it lost, followed by Kia and Hyundai, which acquired on average 1.5 and 1.4 households, respectively, for every one they lost. Ford and Toyota and Honda lost more households on average than they gained during that period. Tesla's average inflow of customers started to decline in July 2024, along with its loyalty rate. Since February, Tesla has been gaining fewer than 2 households for everyone it loses to the rest of the industry, its lowest level ever, according to the data. The data shows clearly that the net migration to Tesla is slowing, Libby said. Brands that now attract more Tesla customers than they lose to Tesla include Rivian, Polestar, Porsche, and Cadillac, the data show. Brian Mulberry, client portfolio manager at Tesla investor Zacks Investment Management, said he isn't concerned about Tesla's long-term earnings because he expects enormous profits from his plans to operate robotaxis and license self-driving technology to other automakers. Tesla launched a small Tesla robotaxi in Austin in June, giving rise to Hamby. We all know this, etc. Okay. And now let's move on to the grift. That is, Tesla board approves near $30 billion alternative pay deal for Musk. Tesla board approved a near $30 billion alternative compensation plan for its billionaire CEO Elon Musk, as the company and Musk went into court battle to reinstate his $56 billion pay award, which a Delaware judge struck down. The company announced a new plan in a Securities Exchange Commission filing on Monday, emphasizing its goal to incentivize Musk to refocus on Tesla. The New York court valued at $29.1 billion as of Friday's market close must be approved by Tesla's shareholders. It would act as an alternative method to pay Musk in the event that his original pay ultimately struck down in court. This is just bullshit. Moving on. TechCrunch Mobility, Tesla's ride-hailing gambit. This is another bullshit. Let's move on to this. 2026 BMW iX3 is an efficiency beast. So this is an Inside EVs article, which was a very highly regarded publication until they turned on Tesla, and they've been bashed by all Tesla bulls. Even though they're very detail-oriented, very factual, it's a great publication. The 2026 BMW iX3 is an efficiency beast. The initial numbers say the upcoming electric crossover could outpace the Tesla Model Y. An electric car's energy efficiency is a big deal. The higher it is, the longer you'll go on a full charge. Traditionally, the Tesla Model Y has been an efficiency champion, cutting through the air like a sharp knife and sipping the energy from its high-voltage battery to make long-distance travel as stress-free as possible. But the Model Y is in trouble because BMW is breathtaking down its neck with the 2026 iX3. According to BMW CEO Oliver Zipse, the first of the new class-based EVs will have an impressive energy consumption figure of 15 kilowatt hours per 62 miles, as spotted by BMW blog. That's the equivalent of 4.14 miles per kilowatt hour and 24.1 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. Not bad at all for a dual motor crossover with a 100 plus kilowatt hour battery and an unconfirmed curb weight of around 5,000 pounds, or 2,285 kilograms, roughly 220 pounds heavier than the outgoing model. By comparison, the previous generation iX3, which was only available with the rear-wheel drive and 74 kilowatt-hour battery, had an official energy consumption figure of 18.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, or 3.2 miles per kilowatt hours. Yeah, so that's a massive jump from 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour to 4.14 miles per kilowatt hour. Yeah. That's almost a 30% jump. To get these rather impressive results, BMW started with a clean slate, using some of the most advanced technologies available today. The cylindrical cells used in new class EVs were developed by BMW and offer 20% more energy density compared to the previous generation. The Gen 6 electric drive units have silicon carbide components, which are more expensive but also more efficient than the outgoing models. It's worth noting that we don't know what test cycle was used to produce the new iX3's energy consumption figure. Most likely, it's the WLTP we're talking about here, which is usually more lenient than the US's EPA. Thankfully, we have the WLTP figures for the Tesla Model Y too. In Europe, the refreshed Model Y with all-wheel drive and a long-range battery has a consumption rating of 15.3 kilowatt hours or 4.06 miles per kilowatt hour. It's a small difference compared to the iX3, but a difference nonetheless. When it comes to driving range, though, BMW's new EV promises no fewer than 497 miles on a full charge on the WLTP cycle and a maximum charging power of 400 kilowatts, while the longest range Tesla Model Y can deliver up to 386 miles. The EPA ratings are a little different, with the Model Y long range all wheel drive getting a 311-mile rating. This is good news for BMW, but don't expect Tesla Model Y customers to cross shop the new iX3. The two EVs might be similar in size, but pricing wise, BMW's new crossover expected to be roughly double the price of an equivalent Model Y. Moving on to CATL. Partners push large scale battery swapping into China's car rental market. Let's just read the summary on this one. CATL, the world's largest battery maker, leaps and bounds ahead of anybody else, and now they're really diversifying their downstream. CATL and a couple of the companies leasing partner to introduce large-scale battery swapping in China's rental car market. Car Inc. will deploy CATL's ChocoSwap vehicles equipped with standardized battery blocks to create a sustainable mobility ecosystem. You know what? That actually sounds pretty interesting. Let's read it. CATL has joined forces with Contemporary Amperex Energy Services Technology, Car Inc., and CMB Financial Leasing to introduce large-scale battery swapping into China's rental car market. According to a post on CATL's WeChat account, the four companies on August 1 signed a strategic agreement in Ningde to integrate energy replenishment, asset operations, financing, and mobility services, aiming to create a sustainable full-chain ecosystem for the mobility sector. Car Inc. will deploy CATL's ChocoSwap battery swappable vehicles across its fleet, spanning economy, comfort, and business segments to serve the mainstream A0 to B segment market. A pilot program will begin this year with plans to operate over 100,000 battery swappable capable vehicles in phases. Wow. The vehicles will be equipped with CATL standardized 20 and 25 battery blocks, offering a range of 400 to 600 kilometers and enabling flexible energy replenishment for short and long-term rentals, corporate fleets, and ride-hailing services. Infrastructure will leverage Car Inc.'s 2,000 plus locations. Yeah, very interesting. To cut costs and boost efficiency, CMB Leasing and CAS will provide competitive battery leasing solution for Car Inc.'s self-operated fleet. Interesting. All right. American Eagle jumps as Trump touts Sydney Sweeney jeans ad. American Eagle Outfitters shares surged after US President Donald Trump came out in support of a controversial ad from the company. The spot with the actress Sydney Sweeney is the hottest ad out there, Trump said in a social media post. He added American Eagle jeans are flying off the shelves. Trump deleted an earlier post in which the actress' first name was misspelled. The stock jumped as much as 18%, the biggest gain intraday since May 12. Through last week's close, the shares had declined 36% this year. The apparel retail launched an ad blitz in July, etc. We're going to skip this one, but just the asterisk. I own shares of American Eagle as of about last month, I think. All right. Trump tariffs live updates. Trump says he will be substantially raising India tariffs over Russia oil buys. President Trump on Monday said he would be substantially raising tariffs on India as he presses the nation over its purchase of Russian oil, effectively accusing the nation of subsidizing Russia's war in Ukraine. India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, they are then for much of the oil purchase, selling it on the open market for big profits, Trump alleged on Trump's True Social. They don't care how many people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine. Trump has trained his ire on both India and China over its purchase of Russian oil. China called the demand a key hurdle in trade talks, while India hasn't committed to stopping purchases and is urging citizens to support local goods. Interesting. India is facing 25% tariffs on its exports to the US under plans Trump moved into action last week. Trump signed an order to hike tariffs on Canada to 35% while setting rates from 10% to 40% on dozens of partners. Those duties are set to come into full effect this week as Trump looks to set to dramatically change the U.S. trade landscape. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said the latest round of tariffs are pretty much set and unlikely to change. In the past several days, Trump has unleashed a flurry of deals and trade moves leading up to his self-imposed deadline. Trump granted Mexico, the U.S. largest trading partner, a 90-day reprieve on higher tariffs. The U.S. agreed to a trade deal in South Korea. The agreement includes a 15% tariff rate on imports from the country, while the U.S. will not be charged a tariff on its exports. Trump imposed 50% tariffs on semi-finished copper products starting August 1. The president signed an order to end the de minimis exemption on low-value imports under $800, thereby applying tariffs from August 29. Trump signed another order to impose a total of 50% tariffs on many goods from Brazil. However, it exempts key U.S. imports like the orange juice and aircraft parts that benefit Embraer. The U.S. and EU agreed to a trade deal that imposes 15% tariffs on EU goods. The nations are still working on finalizing many terms of the deal. In the last article, Trump to name a new Fed governor, BLS head, in coming days. President Trump said he will announce a new Federal Reserve governor and new jobs data statistician in the coming days, two appointments that may shape his economic agenda amid anxiety over trajectory of global growth. Trump made the comments to reporters Sunday on his way back to White House from a weekend in Bedminster, New Jersey. He has faced criticism for his relentless attacks on the Fed and for firing Bureau of Labor Statistics Chief Erica McIntyre after data showed weak jobs growth, moves that are seen as undermining institutions typically viewed as free from political influence. For the Fed, the president said he has a couple of people in mind for the role that opened up after Adriana Kugler announced Friday that she would vacate her board of governors seat, which wasn't due to expire until January. Her exit handed Trump a sooner than anticipated opportunity to appoint a governor who more closely aligns with his preferences for lower interest rates. National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett, former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh, current Fed Governor Christopher Waller, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent have all been floated as contenders to lead the central bank. Trump's nominee for the open governorship could move into the chairman role when Jerome Powell's term expires in May. Kugler departure unfolds amid unprecedented public pressure from the White House on the central bank over interest rates, with Trump regularly launching personal insults at Powell. Trump has called on minorities. Bureau of Labor Statistics Trump fired McIntyre hours after a weak jobs report based in part on steep downward revisions for May and June. Trump called the figures in the latest employment report as well as those before the election rigged, adding that revisions favored Democrats. Those big adjustments were, I'm not going to read this. There's no evidence that these numbers were rigged. If everything I've read and seen over this topic says, it's very hard to, hundreds of federal employees involved. It's a long process, very detailed process, almost impossible for the head of BLS to manipulate the numbers. So on that note, thank you very much, everybody. And I will chat with you all next time. Take care.